naturally they came together, and I think they formed a great team.
It's insane that that's the position they kind of feel that they're in, because if you look at this roster, this could just be a hand-picked roster.
Yeah.
You see incredible success out of guys like Rubcub on this team at BlizzCon. Now he's going to be there. Jamili, just always considered one of the best in NA. I feel like overall, though, Jamili does have somewhat of a disappointing performance last year with his current team. A roster change definitely needed, but you want to pick up Jamili in that situation. Now, one of the things that we haven't talked about is which comps to expect, but as you can see, we're jumping in right now. Rubcub going to be on the Shaman, Jamili going to be on that Boomkin, and Seth Curry going to be on the Windwalker in 3-2-1, playing the composition that they are known for. The first match of the day, the first match of NA for the 2018 year. Gates about to open. Venruki, who do you have coming out on top?
Well, like I said, 3-2-1, they are going to be struggling with that Restoration Shaman, so as long as Rubcub is doing a good job switching that Earth Shield, he's playing Relentless as well, so very, very key. All CC is going to be a little bit of a less cooldown on him, so keep an eye on that for sure. On the other hand, you know, they have Jamili and Seth Curry on that Windwalker Monk. That's going to be a lot of instant CC for, you know, Lightme's when they go on to Hansol or they go on to Zevs. We'll have to see how they decide to open up. Hansol pushing in. He's looking to get some crowd control over onto Rubcub, but Seth all over him at this point. Tiger's lusting out of that Nova, trying to get some damage out. Nice pounce over onto Seth Curry. Hansol pushing in, getting the full polymorph on Rubcub right now, 3-2-1. This is the setup that they want, very standard, but it looks like the rejects have sort of deflected it, not too much damage coming in.
I think one of the most important things that you have noted, oh my god, we got to pay attention to the damage that's coming in on Hansol. He manages to hold on to his ice block for now. A lot of that offensive pressure going to be on 3-2-1 as we see the low clone onto Hansol. He's going to sit in that the full duration. That was also when he was inside of his combustion. So not only do the rejects have a crazy amount of pressure as they continue to put that onslaught straight into Hansol, they also get to mitigate the damage that 3-2-1 really does want to do. So Jamili invested his Incarn for that. That was where quite a bit of the damage came from. Now Zev going to try to put it on its head, use an Incarn of his very own. 3-2-1 when they want to put the pressure out, as Elliot already noted before the gates even open, really need to be thinking about Rubcub's Earth Shield and play around it. Now Rubcub caught into the CC chain.
Yeah, into the full polymorph. Jamili now for the first time taking a bit of damage. Maim into Bash, getting lower and lower. Rubcub, no trinket available. Renewal comes out, as well as the Spirit Link Totem. Nicely done by 3-2-1. 3-2-1 is going to be winning in those CC setups, just like Rich said. Jamili's still getting lower and lower, dashing away. Does not have Renewal, does not have anything. Rubcub, not too many cooldowns. Ascendant's going to be coming out. He should be able to stabilize his HP. His team's going to be able to survive, incapacitate over onto Lightme's. Hansol getting a little low, but in the response, he uses that Temporal Shield. Nicely done. That's going to deflect all this damage, topping him off.
That was a beautiful Temporal Shield, but instantly Hansel's just getting chunked once again. Now he may have to invest that Ice Block, but we can see it is going to be Lightning. He's trying to use a cooldown of his very own to get his teammate nice and healthy here in the first matchup of the day. Great pressure coming out from both sides. The thing is that setup from 3-2-1 did get quite a lot out of the way for the rejects. It is Hansol who still has his Ice Block, and it seems that Hansol is just the one to receive all the pressure that the rejects can pump out at the moment.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for 3-2-1. They went for that crowd control chain, but they just weren't able to find any damage. Now Hansel's down to 50% HP, caught into the full Cyclone. Lightning's trying to line of sight, but he doesn't have any sacks left. Luckily, one's coming up quite shortly. You can see for the 3-2-1, they still have some key defensives, still have that Ice Block as well as that Divine Shield, so they should be fine for now. The rejects in a good spot as well. You know, Jamili has Barkskin, Incarnations up. They're trying to counter pressure. Hansol getting lower and lower, trying to toss out those polymorphs, get some counter pressure of themselves. The full bash over onto Rubcub. Incapacitate on that polymorph. Nicely done by Seth Curry, denying that setup. And now a huge swap over on the Lightnings. Might be that bubble. Uses the freedom, trying to get to the pillar. Use that Divine Steed as well. Gets out of line of sight, but Seth Curry's all over him with the Blood Elf Silence. Incapacitated. If he has a stun out of this, Lightnings could be in a lot of trouble. Fist of Fury stun comes in, but Blessing of Protection is enough to save him.
Seth Curry all over him like glue, but just such a mobile class, able to get back over to Hansol to keep the pressure going. The second that you saw Jamili pop that Incarn, it was just so scary for 3-2-1. Damage coming out on Lightnings and Hansol. Hansol this time going to use that Temporal Shield again. He isn't playing Frost, so that one Ice Block is really his last line of defense. He's been able to hold on to it for the entire matchup, but with the pressure coming out from the rejects, it just keeps getting scarier for this team. Once again, 3-2-1 really needs to play around Rubcub if they want to find a win condition. Once again, he was going to be caught inside the CC. You can see a well-placed ring is going to fade. Rubcub going to get out of that one, going to have to trade out the totem here to keep his team healthy. But Hansol is the one to take the damage once again. Jamili not inside of Incarn. It's going to be Seth Curry. Investing cooldowns here. That's the ice block very low. A well-played ice block there. Hansol going to be safe for now. Hansol still needs to get healed up, though, by Lightmeez.
Yeah, it's very important Hansol used that ice block before the cauterize, so good defensive play from Hansol. Unfortunately for 3-2-1, they just can't really get anything going. Anytime there's CC on Rubcub, Jamili, bear form, running around the pillar, avoiding all damage from Hansol. Once again, you see it here, blinding light on the Rubcub, but Hansol just cannot connect. Seth Curry is making this a nightmare. Finally, the full polymorph lands. Jamili's just going to be using that Barskin, sitting in the bear form. As long as he can survive until Rubcub's out of cooldowns, 3-2-1 cannot push through with the amount of damage they have. The Fire Mage doesn't provide that much damage. It's got good crowd control, but if Rubcub's able to heal, Jamili, well, I don't think is going to go down. Nice polymorph, Minev Maim under Rubcub. Jamili's still getting a little lower, but bear form is enough to survive.
Exactly. This is exactly what you were talking about, Elliot. Jamili goes into the bear form, weathers the storm, pops skin, goes into Incarn, looking to just take Hansol down. Jamili is just able to handle this pressure so well with bear form. He traded out skin there, peels for himself with Cyclone, and the second he comes out, he is just a shark, an absolute threat. Hansol is going to be able to make it through this one as we enter dampening. Still, though, Jamili inside of that Incarn getting a lot of damage out here. Hansol investing that temporal shield should be fine, but he is going to get kicked there. That shear isn't going to do too much, but to stop the pressure onto Seth Curry for just a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like they've changed their target. Seth Curry taking a little bit of damage. Fortifying Brood denies it. Counterspell into Polymorph under Rubcub. Hansol getting bursted though in the meantime. Lightmeez is not doing well on mana. He's almost completely tapped at this point. Dampening has just kicked in. Hansol still, that Blessing of Protection's enough. Dragon's Breath comes in as well. Jamili getting lower and lower. These are the CC chains. It can be deadly. If they can land a CC chain that's long enough, Rubcub does not have a trinket. Now a Hodge on Rubcub as they swap over onto him. Combustion paying dividends for Hansol, getting a lot of pressure out on both Jamili and Rubcub, but this is Ascendance. Ascendance is enough to spread out his healing, top off his team, and now the rejects are completely fine.
One of the other things to note, though, also takes that Astral Shift. That's going to make Rubcub a little bit squishier. Maybe now 3-2-1 can get that swap going once they see where that Earth Shield does go out. So this is a big play coming out of 3-2-1, but they need to stay alive to make that happen. Seth Curry still a huge threat here. We're going to see he just moves right back in, gets onto Hansol. Hansol puts down that Ring of Frost into the in-cap. Going to be Hansol here. Lightmeez knows that this could be dangerous. He needs to keep his team nice and healthy. Hansol taking quite a bit of damage. Can't even get out that polymorph. The shear is going to make sure to stop that. Another Ring of Frost now is down. Rubcub gets behind the pillar, stuck into a bash. Jamili now going to be CC'd as well. This could be the setup coming out from 3-2-1.
Yeah, it absolutely could, but Jamili still has a renewal. He still has the bark skin, so I think he's going to be safe. Lightmeez now tapped on mana, and as a team, like 3-2-1 cannot be playing defensive right now, but they really don't have much of a choice. Lightmeez is tapped completely. They need to do some sort of all-in setup. Once again, turning some pressure over onto Seth, fortifying Brew, enough damage reduction to be completely fine. Still, as well, has that touch of Karma, so it's not looking good for 3-2-1 in this situation. Hansol is doing a nice job with that temporal shield to keep himself alive a little bit longer, but 3-2-1 really doesn't have too many immunities left. The only thing Lightmeez has is that the Blessing of Sacrifice.
Yeah, and I think Hansol still is sitting on Cauterize. Hansol getting very low here. You can see he is silenced. That's going to slow him down for just a little bit. Jamili in the Incarn, once again, this is scary for 3-2-1. You can see them trying to spread pressure out a little bit. Lightmeez, though, getting absolutely chunked. This could be the first map of the day. Lightmeez going to use Tears Deliverance. It looks like he faked that just a little bit. Jamili now still inside of Incarn, going to be able to swap over. One player from 3-2-1 looking to fall. Incapped very low is Lightmeez. Hansol dangerously low as well. The rejects just looking for anyone to take them down and take the first game of the day here on Not Grand Arena.
Yeah, Hansol coming back. Those polymorphs on Seth definitely kept his team alive, so nicely done. But right now the rejects have so much pressure. Hansol used his combustion at a bit of an odd time there, just trying to generate some pressure whatsoever. But that's a full polymorph from Rubcub. Oh my Jamili goes down. Incarnation's enough. 3-2-1 barely survives. Both Hansol and Lightmeez were 5% HP. Those polymorphs coming in from Hansol, and that one last dire CC chain. I can't believe it.
Unbelievable.
It's so crazy, though, too, when you talk about how important this first one really is for 3-2-1. It's more important than on the side of the rejects, because the rejects, they have a team with, first of all, it's a 4-man lineup. They play a lot of different things, so they can start to try to play that counter comp game. But a big thing to note is 3-2-1, with the blind pick, that's very important because they can't play the counter comp game, but also they have the Shaman, and that's the first thing that Van Ruki says, that Shaman matchup going to be very hard. A very wise pick from the reject, so 3-2-1 just do everything there, taking that first one, Zico.
Yeah, and I mean, Hansol actually had a really, really great performance this game. I mean, in the start, it was kind of sloppy, but then towards the end there, especially, like Elliot pointed out during the game, was very, very nice. He had a beautiful blink sheep onto Seth when Seth was about to finish off his Holy Paladin, and then he managed to swing that momentum, go all the way to the other side of the map, get a stun onto Rob Cub into that sheep, and they managed to turn it around all the way from that. And that is also one of the risks of playing Relentless. Relentless is very good, but if you do get caught in that long CC chain, you don't have a trinket, so your DPS really has to play well defensively.
Let's see some of those big moments again, because I really do want to break this down, because it looked so back and forth at many times, but it seemed like the rejects were really in the driver's seat, Zico.
Yeah, so, all right, so right away we can see here that we got a bunch of things going on. We got the kick onto Jamili right there, and then we can see Rob Cub hasn't really been crowd controlled just yet, but we do see that Lightney's, if you look at his positioning, he is going to move forward to try to get a Hammer of Justice, and they're gonna go ahead and crowd control Rob Cub, and then Hansel's gonna look for a sheep from that. And here we go. There is the blinding light. Hansol manages to get a sheep out of that blinding light. Jamili gets stunned up out of that kick earlier, and then there's a follow-up CC from that. And this is the general idea that you want to be doing if you're playing 3-2-1. So you want to just be pushing in. Always the Paladin is the one who leads the charge forward. The Paladin is always the one who initiates the CC, or the Feral with one of their stuns, Hammer of Justice, Blinding Light, etc. And then the Mage tries to follow up onto that. And then here as well, we can see this is a little bit later into the game. We can see that Lightness has recently been root beamed, and his bubble is down right there. And then you can see Seth Curry has his wall up as well. This was when 3-2-1 was actually switching their attention. But one other important thing is that Jamili does not have his trinket available right there, and we're gonna go ahead and see exactly what happens here. But this is another CC attempt here onto Rob Cub. Look at that counter spell on Rob Cub, which means that he cannot shear Hansol, and then a beautiful poly to lead out of to follow up that. And then there's the blessing of protection as well from Lightness to try to help Hansol get that resheep, Dragon's Breath, and then there's the Blood of Silence as well. So much crowd control on this 3-2-1 squad is gonna land them the Spirit Link, and that's kind of the strategy for 3-2-1. They want to be getting those long crowd control chains, and they want to try to burst down Jamili and try to force his renewal, his skin, and his trinkets. Those are the major defensives that they want to be going through. And then here, this is right at the end, so right before we get into the game itself, I want to just highlight that at this point, you can see Lightmees has topped himself. You can see Jamili has used his bark skin and his incarn and his trinket. And the reason why he used these was because they got that big full moon onto Lightmees where they almost killed him behind the pillar. So this is right after 3-2-1 has recovered off of Hansel's great sheeps. And then you can see it right here now. There's going to be a stun onto Rob Cub in a moment. And look at that Feral Druid. There it is. Nice blink sheep to follow that up. Beautiful stun as well onto Jamili to make sure that there is no interrupt, there is no beam or anything crazy coming out of him to try to shut Hansol down, and that is going to be the game right there. And I mean, that's all it takes really. If you have no bark skin, you have no trinket on the DPS, the Shaman is playing Relentless, you get that crowd control chain without actually being interrupted because Seth is still stuck on your side of the map, then that's all it takes. You have a Meteor as well there on that stun, bam, Jamil is just dead.